Here's a shocking truth. By the time we reach adulthood, 98% of us lose the creative thinking we were born with. And it's not just by chance. Companies are part of the problem. They train us to follow rules, meet deadlines, and think inside their box. The result? A world where creativity is discouraged, and most people don't even realize it's happening. Think about this. Only 35% of employees say they feel comfortable taking creative risks at work. That's less than half. Why? Because many businesses reward safe thinking over bold ideas. Creativity is unpredictable, and companies like predictability. This is why so many of us end up stuck, with our best ideas gathering dust in the back of our minds. In this video, we'll uncover the truth behind why creativity gets crushed in the workplace and how you can reclaim it. From understanding the corporate fear of risk to exploring how the 9-5 system kills original thinking, we'll dive deep into the hidden forces at play. Most importantly, you'll learn how to break free from this trap and unlock your creativity once again. Ready to find out what's really holding you back? Let's get started. Chapter 1. The Creativity Conspiracy. How they're shaping your mind. Creativity is often marketed as a desirable trait, but have you ever wondered why companies don't always encourage it in the workplace? The truth is, many organizations are built to suppress creativity rather than promote it. Why? Because creativity is unpredictable. And unpredictability threatens control. Let's take a step back to see where it all begins: school. From an early age, most education systems train students to memorize and follow instructions. Studies show that 98% of children are born with high levels of creativity, but by the time they reach adulthood, only 2% retain it. Sir Ken Robinson, a well-known education expert, said, "We are educating people out of their creative capacities. Schools prioritize standardized testing and right answers over imaginative thinking, setting the stage for a conformity-first mindset that carries over into adulthood." When you enter the workforce, this conditioning continues. Companies value reliability and consistency, so they train employees to work within rigid structures. According to a report by the Harvard Business Review, only 35% of employees feel encouraged to take creative risks at work. That's because companies prefer safe, proven methods to maximize efficiency. Anything too creative might challenge the existing way of doing things, and let's be honest, most businesses are built on routine, not disruption. But here's the kicker. While companies claim they want innovation, many will only support creativity as long as it doesn't disrupt their operations. And disruption is often what creativity thrives on. This creates a paradox. You're told to think outside the box, as long as your ideas fit within the company's box. Chapter 2. Innovation or imitation. The illusion of creative freedom. We often hear the word innovation thrown around, but is it real innovation or just imitation? Companies love to appear innovative, but in reality, they often limit how far creativity can go. A fascinating study by Forbes found that 60% of executives admitted their companies only innovate when it directly affects profitability. Let's take the tech industry, for example. It's painted as the playground for creativity. Yet, many tech companies often replicate existing ideas with slight modifications rather than introducing groundbreaking innovations. Take Apple and Samsung, both giants in the smartphone industry. Each new phone release looks like an update of the last, with minor tweaks that are labeled as innovation. But is that true creativity? Creativity in these environments often becomes an illusion. Sure, employees can brainstorm ideas, but those ideas have to fit into the company's established goals, values, and product lines. Essentially, your creative freedom has limits. As Stephen Johnson wrote in Where Good Ideas Come From, true creativity often stems from unpredictable environments, where ideas can collide and evolve freely. Unfortunately, many companies create predictable, controlled spaces, making true innovation a rare occurrence. Another example is the fashion industry. Fashion designers may be celebrated for innovation, but trends repeat themselves every few decades. Why? Because companies want to stick with what's profitable. Fashion is often recycled creativity because true risk scares the industry. The bottom line is this: Real creativity is often stifled because it's risky, and most companies will always choose what's safe and profitable over groundbreaking innovation. Chapter 3. Creativity on a Deadline. Why the 9-5 crushes original thinking. We've all been there. Sitting at your desk, staring at the clock, trying to come up with something creative by 5 p.m. The traditional 9-5 workday is not designed for creativity. Studies show that creative thinking is not something you can just turn on during set hours. In fact, a study published in the journal Thinking Skills and Creativity found that people are more creative when they are free from time constraints. So why does the corporate world expect employees to be creative within rigid, often stressful, schedules? It's a misunderstanding of how creativity works. Creativity doesn't follow a set timeline. It comes in bursts, often when you least expect it. The pressure to deliver results within strict deadlines can suffocate creativity rather than fuel it. Companies also tend to undervalue mental breaks. The University of California conducted a study that found employees who take short, frequent breaks are 34% more productive and more likely to come up with creative solutions. Yet, how many workplaces encourage breaks? Most push for productivity, assuming that more hours spent working equals more results. This mentality is flawed. Famous creatives like Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein were known for taking walks to clear their minds. Einstein once said, "Creativity is intelligence having fun." It's hard to have fun when you're constantly worried about deadlines and performance metrics. Moreover, creativity thrives in diverse environments, not in isolated cubicles or monotonous office spaces. Yet, many companies still enforce this setup. Google, however, took the opposite approach by designing open, flexible workspaces to spark collaboration and spontaneous creativity. Their model has led to some of the most innovative products in tech. This shows that breaking away from the traditional 9-5 structure allows creativity to flourish. In the end, trying to be creative on a deadline is like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. It doesn't happen on command. Chapter 4. The Fear Factor. How risk-averse cultures kill creativity. Most companies say they want creative ideas, but behind the scenes, they often fear them. Why? Because creativity can mean taking risks, and risks can lead to failure. And failure is something companies work hard to avoid. In a world where bottom lines matter more than bold ideas, playing it safe often wins. A study from the Journal of Business Venturing found that 67% of employees refrain from sharing creative ideas because they fear they will be rejected or ridiculed. It's not just about risk, it's about how the company's culture reacts to it. The problem is that many organizations value predictability over experimentation. If an idea doesn't have a guaranteed outcome, it's likely to be shot down before it even has a chance. This risk-averse mindset creates an environment where creativity is starved. Instead of trying new approaches, employees stick to what's already proven to work. It's like walking the same path every day and expecting to discover something new. One of the most famous advocates for embracing risk was Elon Musk, who once said, "Failure is an option here. If things are not failing, you are not innovating enough." Take a look at companies like Kodak. Once a giant in the photography world, they ignored digital technology because it was too risky. They were afraid of cannibalizing their own film sales. As a result, they fell behind and eventually went bankrupt. On the other hand, companies like Netflix took the risk of moving from DVDs to streaming. Their willingness to embrace creative risk made them a leader in digital entertainment. The takeaway? If your workplace doesn't allow for failure, it's not allowing for true creativity. Creating a culture where employees can take calculated risks without fearing consequences is essential for innovation. Failure, when handled well, is just a step toward finding a successful idea. Chapter 5. The Creativity Economy. When thinking different hurts your career, it's ironic, but sometimes being too creative can hurt your career. While companies claim to value out-of-the-box thinking, they often reward employees who conform to established ways of doing things. This creates a dilemma. If you're too creative, you might not fit into the corporate mold, and that can slow down your career progression. According to a report by McKinsey, employees who challenge the status quo are 50% less likely to be promoted than those who follow traditional paths. This isn't because their ideas aren't good, but because creative thinkers are often seen as a disruption to the flow of operations. In the corporate world, people who follow the rules tend to get ahead faster. Creative employees, meanwhile, are sometimes labeled as troublemakers or non-team players. This is especially true in industries where hierarchies are deeply ingrained. Take finance, for example. It's a field built on precision and caution, where creativity is often viewed as a liability. A study by the Harvard Business Review revealed that only 23% of employees in highly regulated industries felt comfortable being creative at work. Unfortunately, this means that many creative people find themselves stuck in roles that don't fully utilize their talents. Worse, they might abandon their creative thinking altogether to fit in and climb the corporate ladder. One key solution here is to carve out a niche within your company where your creativity is valued. This might mean moving toward roles that focus on innovation, design, or strategy, where creativity is seen as a strength, not a weakness. Steve Jobs famously said, "Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower." But in many companies, following still gets more rewards than leading with bold ideas. It's up to you to find or create environments where thinking differently is an asset, not a liability. Enjoyed the content? Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Join our community for more insights on creativity and breaking free from corporate constraints. Let's unlock your creative potential together.